today with Leee John. So Lee, how do we describe you? Because I think musician is just a bit reductive, isn't it?
Describing Leee John
Without an S.
without an S. I'm an all-rounder. You know, I came into the industry to really be an all-rounder when I was very young. I started, it's kind of like 10, 12, singing and writing and dancing and acting, and led me into writing, you know, songs and then stories. And I was going to be a journalist if I wasn't going to be a performer, so I was writing a hell of a lot of stuff and learning the industry. And then finally, it's led me to directing and producing film documentaries and moving on from that. So many different areas of the world of entertainment which I'm enjoying.
By the way, what a great night at the Jazz Cafe in London, and even better the one at La Cigale in Paris.
Thank you, thank you.
So Lee, between music and lights, you celebrate 35 years of your career. So let's flash back to the beginning and how did it all start?
Flashback! Oh wow. When I was, well, it started for me, my parents split up. I went to live in America for 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. And while I was there, I got signed to a label called Worldwide Records. And it was a label that groomed you, not just to sing and dance, but to do acting, and it's like workshops. And so not long after that, I came back to London to live with my mother. And when we were 14, 15, I got signed to a record label, EMI. And I was part of a group called Russ and Lee. And we had a record called, well, we had two tracks, one called Get Up, another one called One Life to Live, which we wrote. And it was a fascinating time because I was still at school. And we were produced by a guy called Del Newman, and he'd done arrangements and worked with Paul McCartney and Diana Ross, I think Rod Stewart. We had all this music in us from very young. I mean, so it was, I didn't even realize how important all of this would be relative until much later. I'm lucky I still remember the name. So that was my early start. And the record flopped, and I thought, I need a job. I took the initiative to say, you know what, I needed to be more than just a singer. I needed to know about the music business. I needed to know more about my path of what I wanted to do in the entertainment industry. So I set off learning as much as I could about the industry.
When somebody sells more than 30 million albums worldwide, what changes does he need to do in his life?
I think it's funny because celebrating 35 years of imagination and reflecting back on all the changes, you never think what's going to happen to you when you have a hit record. You think it's going to be you know, fantastic, and it's going to be easy, and it's going to be wow, and yes, it is. But what was fascinating for me was that the workload increased and increased and increased. I never actually sat down and thought, until they presented me with the gold disc or a platinum disc, wow, you know, you've sold all these records. I think I got to the end of the 80s, I think 1990 I think I got to, and I had to look back and think, my goodness, you know, look at the achievement.
So your music goes from pop to jazz, so where can we feel your soul?
You can feel my soul everywhere, baby. I mean, my soul comes from the elements of gospel music, classical music, jazz music. I have so many different influences. I'm influenced by Kool and the Gang and Funkadelic and Motown, Diana Ross and Supremes. I love Stevie Wonder, the Jacksons. I was a Jackson, you know. So I've had so many of these influences, you know. And I think all part of this feels or, you know, gives me the spirit. I just do what I do, and I know how I want to present it, and I try and make it work the best way I can, because it's about the audience. You can have the lights, you can have all that, but it's about the audience, you know.
Your music has been sampled by Destiny's Child and Mariah Carey. I can never pronounce it. Mariah Carey got your number. So did Mary Wilson, and with your production.
Time to move on.
Do you ever stop?
Do I ever stop? No. I have so many projects. Right now I'm working on a film, Flashback, which has been in the making for the last 5.5, it'll be 6 years. And we have over 400 hours, over 200 interviews, and we are, say, 3/4 of the way there. But I'm now promoting a new album. I'm now thinking of the next album after that. I've been working with the British Collective, which is a UK R&B based album of singers from the UK. Also, I have a singer that I'm on her album from South Africa called Nomfusi. There's a lot of people asking me to do another jazz album. The jazz album has been one that more people kind of every year gravitate to. It's just extraordinary. It's like you have a piece of work and people are discovering it every year.
When you finally face the truth and you say, hey, what's the use? That old instinct inside ain't giving up. Coming through. You set your mark and now you're off on a dream. Don't wanna stop if you don't motivate yourself. Who's gonna do it but you? I know we're here on earth for such a little time. Why don't we make it while we can? Deep inside, I know the best is yet to come. Let us throw away all those childish fears and make sure that things get done. 'Cause tomorrow is tomorrow after all.
So let's talk about Retropia. Just out in France and going to be released worldwide soon.
The title of Retropia is a combination of one of the tracks called Utopia, which takes you into a different land, into a different place, a musical journey, and Retro, because Retro, some of the music on the album is, you don't hear a lot of it anymore, especially in contemporary music where you've got bass, you've got real guitar. It's very organic, and that's what I wanted with Retropia, a combination of a jazz fusion mixed with funk, mixed with melodic harmonic music. I emphasized on this album guitar more than piano, because normally the Imagination sound was based more on piano. We're in the 21st century and I wanted to give it a little bit more edge, and the guitar gives me a different approach vocally and also lyrically. I didn't want to reproduce a classic sound like, say, the 1980s.
So speaking of secrets, you turned 25 per leg. So how does your body talk now?
Oh my goodness, my body talks. How does my body talk? Oh, my body talk is better, I think, than it was years ago. No, I'm kind of lucky that I've survived the 80s, because not that I lived a rock and roll lifestyle, I live a very champagne lifestyle, but there's a lot of people who didn't survive, and you have to maintain to continue. And you have a duty, I think, especially when you are performing for your fans, for the audience.
Not many people know that you are the godfather of Leona Lewis.
I'm not exactly the godfather of Leona Lewis, but I'm very close to the family, very, very close to the family. In actual fact, I was proud to know that she entered Cats, and she's done extremely well. Her family and myself are all very, very close together, because we all went to school together. In actual fact, her father just texted me this morning, so, you know, where I always know what's going on, she knows what's going on. And it's funny, but I just remember her as a little girl, you know, and she's got an amazing gift, amazing talent, and she's going to go from strength to strength.
So searching for a destiny, which was clearly yours, how did you find your illusions?
I found my illusions. How did I find my illusions? Oh my goodness. Well, the industry is the illusion, because you go there thinking it's one thing, and by the time you finish it's different, it changes. And that's what Illusion lyrically was about. By the time I got to Illusion, I was finding certain things that I really dreamed about weren't as real as they, you know, you dream about things and you find, oh, I'm a bit disappointed about this, and a bit disappointed about that, and da 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 da. And you know, in actual fact, I started to write a book called Life's Illusions, because there's so many of them. But I think I kind of deal in the positive. I try and keep focused on what needs to be focused on, keep the light. So therefore, I don't deal with the negatives. Or if I see the negatives, I think, okay, how can we deal with it? So keep a state of reality. So I don't live the life of an illusion. I kind of keep a state of keeping things really real on a really ground level. So therefore, when I do perform, when I do entertain, it comes from the heart. It comes from the spirit of the moment. If we're going to dance, let's do it now. Let's not, it's got to be organic.
Okay, well, Leee John without the S. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Things get done.